Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Tim.
How are you this morning?
Good.
Is it still morning?
Actually, I think we're
No,
in
it's afternoon. Good afternoon, Corey. Sorry, everybody, we didn't start at 11. Things have just been a roller coaster ride here at OSA in our office. Just lots going on. I don't know if you saw, Corey, when you came in, we've been tearing up the broken bluestone that's out there on the patio, out the doors to the parish hall. So we got that going on. Nothing like doing that right at Christmas time, right? It's a Christmas present to the parish, a new patio. So, yeah, we got that going on. It's budget time. So, vestry having to meet several times to do budget. Um, what else we got? We just had lessons and carols. If you all wondering why we're wearing a mask, we're just trying to stay in front of the Omicron because it is that and Delta are making numbers go up.
Yeah, and we want to be able to have enjoy our holidays.
Exactly.
Be at least maybe with some family, and
Yeah.
Just remember we have to be diligent about all this stuff, which is not fun, but
yep.
I think it's a good reminder.
Yep, it's definitely that. I mean, numbers are up everywhere, even in the state of Connecticut. Most of the towns are red.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So hopefully people are staying safe and
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously y'all heard me start out with a little of a modern rendition of Silent Night, and there's a reason for that because today, Corey, I've invited Corey to let us talk about sacred stories. I think that sacred stories is what we are about this time of year. And I know many people have them. Not everybody, and we have to be sensitive to the fact that Christmas actually can be a time of difficulty for many people. And so, but I also want to recognize that even if somebody has a Christmas experience that is maybe not as energetic and exciting as consumerism makes Christmas, I do think that there is sacredness within it, and a lot of times it can be hidden or woven within our everyday experience, and we have to kind of really pay attention for it. So I wanted to start off by sharing with you a story of my own, a couple different stories that are sacred for me that I think about at Christmas time. And mind you, those of you listening, those of you be listening later, Christmas is very difficult on clergy. It is hard to celebrate the Christmas season with everything that we have going on, and it can be hard on clergy families. So, make sure and pat your clergy on the back when you come to Christmas Eve services or Christmas Day services, because it's a lot. It really is a challenge with everything going on this year. So, quick story: when I was a kid, probably 10 years oldish, I had the opportunity. I finally got invited by my dad to go to the midnight service at my church. And I grew up in a church, Norwalk Christian Church, part of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. My dad was minister there for many years, and we lived a block away. I mean, literally a block, maybe a block and a half. And we lived in a parsonage, which is like a rectory for Episcopalians. And so I had the opportunity to go to the midnight service. Probably started at 11, was done by midnight. And that was a big deal for two reasons. The first reason was that the end of that service was really powerful. We would sing Silent Night, and everybody would light a candle, and the lights would go down, which we've experienced actually here at OSA. But then we would get out of our pews and all join in a circle around the outside. And it was a church that had pews on both sides with an aisle down the middle. But we would circle around the outside and with just the candlelight and sing Silent Night. And that was always a powerful, it makes me tear up right now. That was the first time experiencing that. I was like, wow. And so then I always wanted that to be my Christmas Eve service. here we are years later. There's another story that connects with that, but years later, that has also become sacred to me because uh, Chris, growing up, had a cousin. I want to make sure I get this right. Yes, a cousin, I want to say, who was Down syndrome and whose favorite Christmas song was Silent Night. And I think Chris had some sort of lighting candles kind of experience too, but Carrie, her cousin, um, died at a young age. And so whenever that song is sung, that for Chris is a sacred, sacred memory. She thinks of Carrie singing that, um, you know, saddened by, her life being cut short. Um, but that's sacred. So we both have that connection to Silent Night. Back to the story of the first time I got to go with my dad. So the second part that made it so amazing was that I was going to finally be able to catch Santa because it was the midnight service. And I thought, well, I'm going to get back in time and I'll be awake. So maybe I'll catch Santa. And lo and behold, walking back with my dad, and we get home and we walk in the house, and we would walk in this back door to a kitchen that would go into a big dining room. And then the big living room is where the tree was and where Santa would deliver the gifts. And I remember coming in and thinking, I gotta at least just peek, because my dad's like, you're going straight to bed when you get home. I gotta at least peek in there and see if Santa's been here yet. And lo and behold, I could see the silhouette of all the presents that Santa brought, and I didn't catch him. But I was, wowed by the fact that Santa got to our house while we were at worship.
Probably didn't sleep much that night.
I didn't. I really didn't. And my brothers and I, we always were scheming. We'd listen for the reindeer. We'd stay up. We'd do our shifts by the window, and we always fell asleep. And I thought, this will be the time that I get him. And then the next morning, I got to tell my brothers, when I got home, Santa had already been here. So sacred images. What about you, Corey? Do you have from your childhood and your family now? What do you have?
I mean, growing up, I grew up in the Catholic Church and had a similar experience with Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
My mother was in the choir. So we'd always get dragged along early.
Yep.
Because they'd have to practice, ahead of the service. But on Christmas Eve, we always had my mother's cousins over earlier, and we always had meatballs.
Yep.
And then we'd leave for church around 10.
So a midnight mass type thing, right?
Yep. And we got to sit upstairs. The choir sang in a balcony. So
nice.
We always got to sit upstairs, and I think we had a completely different perspective on things than most of the people participating downstairs.
Yep.
We also did a candle lighting at the end of the service, and just being upstairs and seeing, they didn't do a circle, but just seeing everyone with their with the candles.
Yep.
And the lights down was always definitely a moving kind of thing. Even as a kid, you knew that was special. So we always that's what we did on Christmas Eve, and we spent Christmas as a kid, together on Christmas Day and had dinner. As I got older and had my own family, Doug and I used to live in Woodbury, and Woodbury has their Christmas Eve luminaries. And this is where we brought the luminaries.
I see.
To OSA.
Okay, yeah.
On Christmas Eve, the whole main street would light luminaries along the street. And one year we were able to get both of our grandparents, well, I'd say my grandmother, Doug's grandfather, and my mother and his mother, our entire families as small as they are, we're together.
Nice.
And we were able
Nice.
to do that all together. And we thought would be fun to decorate the tree together. So Christmas Eve, we all came, did the luminaries. They came to our house, and they sat there. And I said, "Why isn't the tree decorated?" I said, "I thought we'd do it together." They wanted nothing to do with it. Why are you putting us to work?
Yeah, right.
I thought it would be so nice to all decorate the tree together, and in its own way, it's a great memory. And,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Not the way we planned it, but so we decorated the tree while the grandparents watched us do it.
Yes.
But,
yes.
I always remember that thing.
Why isn't the tree decorated?
Right.
Well,
having everyone together, and that's what we've tried to do as we get older too. So
yeah,
those are kind of a couple.
We're so busy as people that sometimes I think we have to literally stop and ask ourselves or meditate on what are these sacred stories that we have. I remember as a kid, we were living in Mount Air, Iowa. And I remember, I think my grandparents, my mom's parents were coming down from Chicago, and they, and they came on a holiday when I had measles. So I was stuck upstairs in my bed, just covered in measles. And so I remember that I was really bummed about that because they were there. I didn't really get to spend much time with them. But, it's just funny the things that you do remember, or the things, that you don't remember, but your siblings remember.
Right.
And we got some crazy gifts. One year, my parents, and this was crazy, 3 boys, 3 rambunctious boys, preacher's kids. They bought us boxing gloves. We got our money's worth out of those boxing gloves, but man, we did some damage to each other with that. So that was a Christmas gift. New bike, Steelers garbage can one time had the Steelers logo on it. So yeah, it's I really think it's important for us to pause at moments and think about these stories, which is which I think is really one of the reasons we have Tidings, which is coming up, folks, this Sunday, 4:00. We're going to have Tidings and of comfort and joy. And we are going to hear stories. We're going to hear singing. And we're even going to have some surprises. And it's important for OSAers to recognize that has become one of our traditions.
It is. Every year is a little different. But I can think back to various years and, the kids singing and people playing their pianos, or like I have certain pictures in my mind, and even back to when we did just the carol singing too, when it started.
And the important thing about that is we can't forget that, as we're trying to continue to be post-COVID, but of course, new variants, the big debates about vaccines and, and all the craziness we're dealing with COVID, and we're not out of the woods yet by any means. We can't lose focus of what's sacred, and we have to make time for that. So as much as, Tidings is on the 19th of December, 4:00 in the afternoon, and that can be troublesome because there's holiday parties, there's this and that going on, there's festivities. We can't lose sight of what we hold sacred, because if we take for granted our holiday traditions, especially as a church, then we could lose them. We could lose them. And that would be painful. So mark your calendars, folks. I really hope you'll plan to be here. We're going to have some food afterwards. It's going to be kind of like a potluck. So, it's, and then of course, Christmas Eve. Now we're doing a Christmas Eve service. We have traditionally not done a Christmas Day service here. It's been a long time. Even when I came here, the sense I got was because a lot of Episcopalians, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But so we have one service, Christmas Eve, with a 7:30 musical prelude that is stunning.
The music prelude is just, it's always been one of those things I don't want to miss.
Exactly.
And it's definitely a highlight of the year. Liz and Frank put together an incredible
They do.
Prelude that really just puts you in the mood and sets you right. Yeah.
And that's part of our story. While we have individual family stories of Christmas, OSA's story has become part of our story too, is that music prelude. And a big, shout out to those who were able to provide the monetary support for the string instruments. Yeah, we don't want to lose sight of these things. We don't want to take them for granted. Because they can fade away if we do. And I would hate to see that happen. So, those are the things that we've got coming up that we're going to celebrate Christmas. I have to say that basically since the start of Advent with the St. Andrew's Day, Lessons and Carols, we've really had some beautiful moments and keep it going. Exactly. So, folks, make sure and don't forget that how vital the church is. And for those of you who will be out of town with family, which is completely understandable, I would encourage you to check out our live stream. It's one of the reasons we have the live stream is so that people have the opportunity to participate, even if they're not able to be here in person. And so we're going to be working diligently to take this equipment we have in front of us, set it up, make it work for these special occasions. Somebody asked me on Sunday if we were going to have a live stream of the tidings. And in that moment, I was like, oh, I don't know. But I think, yeah, we need to. We'll do that. So here we are. It's Christmas time. Even in the season of Advent, we're getting closer to the celebration of Christmas. So I invite you all to participate. And most importantly, I really want to encourage those who are listening to this to take a moment, maybe even write it down, a story that is sacred to you from your childhood, from your early adulthood, from your life right now, whatever it might be, write it down, share that with others. But most importantly, make sure it's somewhere for people to be able to hold on to once we are, have gone home to the Lord, because these stories are who we are. So, as I said before, I think God takes our ordinary moments and makes them extraordinary. So, write your stories, even bring them along, and let's share them with one another. All right, friends, blessed Advent as we anticipate a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time on Making It Real.
Shepherds hear the angels sing, Hallelujah, hail the King. Jesus the Savior is here. Jesus the Savior.